What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. Today, we're going to be talking about Josh Berry and where he can end up driving in the 2024 season, whether it's in the NASCAR Cup Series or the Xfinity Series. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Obviously, as I just mentioned, we're talking about Josh Berry. Josh Berry could potentially be a free agent at the end of the 2023 season, and a lot of teams are probably looking at Josh Berry as a potential driver that they could use for the 2024 season. Now, why is Josh Berry a hot commodity? Well, Josh Berry has been pretty impressive in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. While not scored a win so far in the 2023 NASCAR Xfinity Series season, he has generally been really consistent as an outside championship threat currently at the moment. The other key thing is he substituted for Chase Elliott in all but one race that Chase Elliott was out after suffering a snowboarding injury. Josh Berry substituted in all the oval races, and honestly, while he did struggle a little bit at Phoenix, every other race, or Vegas, that matter, every other race, Josh Berry generally did a really good job. He got a top 10 at Phoenix, and he also got a runner finish at Richmond as well, and generally kept his nose clean throughout, did race somewhat aggressive, but generally kept his nose clean and did a really good job. And people in the industry like Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon have regarded Josh Berry as someone who's definitely ready to make the next jump up to the NASCAR Cup Series in the 2024 season. And I 100% agree with both of them. I do believe that Josh Berry deserves an opportunity. So today we're going to be discussing about some potential possibilities and some potential plans that could come into cards for Josh Berry for the 2024 season. So now let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Let's first begin by the most obvious and the most likely possibility, and that is Junior Motorsports. Now, there are two potential possibilities that could come into play, and that's him returning to the number 8 car in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2024. Josh Berry has driven the number 8 car at least part-time since 2021 season when he scored 2 victories in that season at Martinsville in the number 8 car and at Las Vegas in the number 1 car in substitution for Michael Annett. Then in 2022, last year he scored 3 victories and was an outside championship. I think he scored maybe actually 4 victories that season. And then this year, well, like I said, he's not won a race. He's been extremely consistent. So he can return to the number 8 car in 2024, and I think still continue the strong mojo that he has had. But I think that there's also possibility for Junior Motorsports to make the jump up the Cup in the 2024 season. Let me explain. It's been no secret of rumblings for the last couple years, really since Josh Berry got that win at Martinsville in 2021, that Dale Jr. has indicated publicly that he would love to bring Junior Motorsports up to the NASCAR Cup Series. Now, Dale Jr. has said that he really doesn't want to bring Josh Berry up himself, but I think if Dale Jr. was to start a NASCAR Cup team, and you can't get a driver like Matt DiBenedetto, let's say, or maybe like Carl Edwards for that matter, someone else in the industry, Josh Berry would be the perfect driver to start off your team. He knows how to get the best out of equipment, and now, compared to before the beginning of the year, Josh Berry now has a ton of Cup Series experience. It wouldn't surprise nor shock me if he does get some more Cup experience in the 2023 season for the end of the year, especially if other teams, because what if he gets to drive for other organizations, maybe like Live Fast Motorsports has? That could be a potential possibility. And obviously, we'll talk about this. Where would Junior Motorsports get the charter for them to jump up full time? I would think it'd come from Spire Motorsports. Junior Motorsports and Spire Motorsports are working in a partnership in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in the 2023 season to give Carson Nosumar some opportunities and some shots to race there. And like I said, Junior Motorsports has a big technical alliance with them. So I think there's a potential possibility there as well that we could see Junior Motorsports take a charter from Spire Motorsports, and that's where Josh Berry could drive. I think this is potentially a great possibility that he drives the Junior Motorsports regardless if it is an Xfinity Series nor the Cup Series, but I think there's a really good chance that this can end up happening. A second team that could be a possibility for Josh Berry heading into the 2024 season is Stuart Haas Racing. Now, this one might be a little bit bold and is less likely than Junior Motorsports, but let me explain. At the end of the 2023 season, we obviously know that the number 4 car is going to be available, and a lot of drivers are going to be looked at to try to take over that number 4 car. But there's 2 other potential rides that could be available in 2024 as Stuart Haas Racing in the Cup Series. And that comes in the form of the number 10 car and the number 41 car. The 10 car could be by open book and open door because Eric Almirola has said that he's 50-50 and he's unsure currently at the moment right now if he's going to retire at the end of the year. He could come back in 2024 with how much he struggled outside of Martinsville this season. It wouldn't shock nor surprise me if Eric Almirola does retire at the end of the year. And then the 41 car could be available, but I think that Ryan Preece more than likely will move to another ride in his Stuart Haas Racing camp. Josh Berry would definitely 100% provide a lot of insight to that team. They're looking for veteran presence. And Josh Berry, while yes, doesn't have as much Cup experience as other drivers that could be available at the end of the season, he could be someone that I think could really bring the best out of those cars, which, like I said, Stuart Haas Racing is no secret. They have generally struggled over the last 2 years. I think Josh Berry, if he came into that team, I think he would do a really strong job. Now, if he ends up going to the 4-car, why would I mention the 4-car? Well, because the 4-car could also be available, and he does bring some sponsorship funding from a couple companies, that being Jarrett and Tire Pros. And maybe, just maybe, Stuart Haas Racing works with Dale Jr. to try to get him over there. I think if Stuart Haas Racing was looking at a driver to try to bring over, Josh Berry would definitely be a really good driver to bring in. He gets the best out of equipment, and we've seen what he can do in his select Cup starts, so I think there's a good chance and a possibility that this could be a potential possibility. Though I don't think this is the most likely scenario of happening, this could be a potential possibility for Josh Berry heading into 2024. The third team that could be a potential possibility for the 2024 season is Colic Racing. Now, Colic Racing could have as many as 2 cars available for the 2024 season. The 16 car could be available at the end of 2023. We don't know how long AJ is going to be driving that number 16 car. AJ is starting to get up there in age. He's going to be in his 40s at this point, and he's been racing for a very, very long time. It has struggled somewhat compared to previous years in Cup. He has struggled so far this season. So that could be a potential ride. But the main one to watch for, in my opinion, we'll get to the number 13 in a second, but the number 31, I think, is the main one to watch for, and I'll explain why. Justin Haley, surprisingly, is actually on a contract year with Colic Racing. And Justin Haley, while he definitely hasn't completely struggled this season, he has not really stepped up and done a fantastic job this year up to this point so far. Granted, though, I think Colic Racing compared to 2022 has taken a little bit of a step back in 2023. But I think if you went to Colic Racing, that would be a great addition. Also, I mentioned the 13 car. The 13 car could be potentially available as a possibility. And it would not surprise nor shock me if Matt Colic and Chris Rice are currently looking at trying to get that third car to be a full-time car. Whether it is for Chandler Smith or whether that is for another driver like Josh Berry, we'd have to wait and see. But nonetheless, Colic Racing could be a potential possibility. And it keeps Josh Berry in the Chevy family overall, and I think Chevy would have a really big asset if they continue to have Josh Berry long term. This could be another potential possibility, though, for 2024, just as we see Josh Berry going to Colic Racing. The next team I'm going to mention as a possibility for 2024 is Trackhouse Racing. Now, this one might surprise a lot of people as well, considering the fact that Trackhouse Racing has locked up Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain on long-term contracts. Daniel Suarez is a little more short-term, as from what I understand, that contract goes to the 2025 season. Meanwhile, Ross Chastain, we don't know exactly how long his contract is, but we've seen, I believe, Ty Norris say that they're going to keep Ross Chastain around till his beard is gray, meaning that we're going to see Ross Chastain pretty much finish his NASCAR Cup Series career. So what I mentioned Trackhouse Racing, well, they have a third car right now that is the Project 91 car. Now, there is a potential possibility that Trackhouse could run that third car as a Project 91 car in 2024. And that would be a good move for that team. However, you cannot discredit Josh Berry. And one thing that could play a factor in this as well is that Justin Marks and Dale Jr. are working together right now in the Cars Tour. Both of them have ownership stake in the Cars Late Model Tour currently at the moment. So that could potentially be a way where Justin Marks can pitch Josh Berry away from Junior Motorsports and bring him into the fold of Trackhouse Racing in that number 91 car, make that a full-time entry. And I think that Trackhouse Racing, if they got Josh Berry, I think that Josh Berry would do a very good job, and you would have a dream team set up for the long term. I think Ross Chastain is a driver who's going to contend for championships and many wins. Daniel Suarez, I feel like outside of a little bit of this year, has gotten better year by year. And I think Josh Berry would bring a lot to the Trackhouse Racing team, and it's a really great insight the team needs. So this could be a potential possibility for the 2024 season. The next team that could be a potential possibility for Josh Berry heading into 2024 is JTG Doherty Racing and the number 47 car. Now, why do I mention JTG Doherty? Because that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a multi-year deal right now with JTG Doherty, right? Well, in this scenario, you would have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. going over to Stuart Haas Racing to drive either the 4 car or the 10 car, and then you have Josh Berry go into the 47 car. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is having a career year in the NASCAR Cup Series right now. He's only about 1 or 2 top 10s for matching a record in the top 10 so far this season. And I think he's really trying to run good because I think a lot of team owners could be looking at Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Plus, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is great friends with Tony Stewart. And I think that would be a great veteran presence for Stuart Haas Racing long term if they brought Ricky in. That's where Josh Berry also comes into play for JTG Doherty. JTG Doherty does have an alliance with Hendrick Motorsports, which, of course, Rick Hendrick is a part owner of Junior Motorsports. So I would think that this could be a really good move for the team. Plus, like I said, I think JTG Doherty itself as an organization right now, I think they're generally on the up and up right now at this current moment. So I think this could be a potential possibility. I think it's less likely than some of the other options, but this could be a potential possibility for 2024. The next team that Josh Berry could end up driving for in 2024 is the second Spire Motorsports car, the number 77 car. Now, I've already talked about the fact that if Junior Motorsports jumps up to the Cup Series, that I would think that they could get a charter from Spire Motorsports. But what if Junior Motorsports is not able to work it out and Josh goes to Cup? Well, I think that Spire Motorsports could be a really good potential team that could be used for 2024 as a great stepping stone for Josh Berry. Now, it's no secret that the number 77 car that is currently being driven by Ty Dillon on a full-time basis, that car has struggled this season. But I think a little bit, no disrespect Ty Dillon, but I think it's a little more of the driver than the car. Because Corey LaJoie has taken that number 7 car this year, his teammate of Ty Dillon, and has done, I think, a very solid job so far in this season. I think that Josh Berry will be a really great teammate to Corey LaJoie, and I think that 77 will be the most competitive it has been since that car joined the NASCAR Cup Series with the Spire Motorsports Group, even more competitive than what Justin Haley did in that car. I think this would be a really good addition to Spire Motorsports, and I think it could be a potential strong possibility, but that will be dependent on if they don't get their charter acquired from Junior Motorsports. The next team that could be a potential possibility for Josh Berry for 2024 is the Wood Brothers. Now, this one is maybe not the most possible and one of the least likely chances. But here's what I will mention on the 21 car. I think that the Wood Brothers really want to see Harrison Burton really step up to the plate. And it's no secret that Harrison Burton, so far in the 2023 season, has really struggled. I believe he's not scored a top 10 in the first 9 races of the season so far and is sitting on the bottom tier of the championship standings currently at the moment. I think sitting like 30th or 31st in the points right now currently at the moment and has overwhelmingly struggled this season. And I think the Wood Brothers, at some point, they're going to have to make a decision on the long-term future of Harrison Burton. Now, Harrison Burton does bring that Dex Imaging sponsorship, so that could definitely help the chance and possibility of Harrison Burton returning. But I think the Wood Brothers really want to have success long-term. Bringing Josh Berry in could really help the team out in a major, major way. But I think the biggest key thing here that could hurt this possibly happening is the fact that Josh Berry is a Chevy driver, and I think the Chevy is going to want to keep Josh Berry long term. But it's not always out of realm of possibility that this could end up happening in 2024, and this could be a pretty big and massive possibility for the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season. The next team that could be a potential possibility for Josh Berry for 2024 is Richard Childress Racing. Now, both drivers that are currently driving full-time with Richard Childress Racing right now, that being Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch, are locked up long-term. Austin Dillon has a contract through 2025, and Kyle Busch has a pretty long-term deal as well with Richard Childress Racing that is likely going to finish his NASCAR Cup Series career. So how could Josh Berry end up driving for Richard Childress Racing in 2024? Bring in the third car. Last year in 2022, we saw Austin Hill make his NASCAR Cup Series debut at Michigan, driving the number 33 car for Richard Childress Racing. And I think that this could also be a thing where Spire Motorsports comes into play. I think Austin Hill more than likely is a more likely driver to get into that third Richard Childress Racing car than Josh Berry. But I think with Spire Motorsports and stuff, in fact, Ty Dillon drives, I think Ty could be an executive long-term at Richard Childress Racing. And I think if you brought Josh Berry on to RCR, you would have a strong organization. You have Austin Dillon, who's a pretty solid driver in the 3. Kyle Busch, who's one of the greatest race car drivers of all time. And Josh Berry will be a great third driver there. Now, more than likely, like I said, I still think Austin Dillon is more than likely going to get that ride in next year if they do get a third car. But this could be a potential last-run possibility that really could come into play for the 2024 season. I think it's less likely, but anything is possible. Nothing is off the table. And the final team that I'm going to mention, and this is the big wild card team, is 2311 Racing. Now, this one is the least likely of any organizations because it is a Toyota team. And I think Josh would rather drive at a Chevy team than a Ford team. But I will mention 2311 Racing for one reason, and that's because of the fact that Denny Hamlin is a massive, massive fan of Josh Berry. And Denny Hamlin has said that if he wanted to get Josh Berry over to 2311, he definitely would try to get Josh Berry over to 2311. I think this would be a great addition if he did join 2311 Racing. Plus, I think the 2311 Racing generally is a team that's a little incomplete right now. Bubba also shown some signs of improvement over time, but has struggled a little bit this year. And Tyler Reddick has done a very good job, has shown sometimes inconsistencies, but I think he's generally done a really good job. And obviously, both are set up long term with 2311, so they will be that third car that become a possibility. And I think Kurt Busch being a mentor for the team, working with that team, could really help out. I think this is the least likely possibility of any teams, but I've seen wilder things happen. I never thought Kyle Busch would ever go to Richards Racing, and that ended up happening. So this could be a wild card possibility for 2024. So, those are all the teams that could be where Josh Berry ends up in 2024. Now, I'll tell you the most likely possibilities. I think it comes down to three organizations. Junior Motorsports, Stuart Haas Racing, and I also believe that it would be Trackhouse Racing. Junior Motorsports the most likely being number one, the second likely being Trackhouse Racing, and the third likely being Stuart Haas Racing. I think those are the three major potential teams that could be potential possibilities for Josh Berry heading 2024, and that could be really fun to watch. But I think it's likely going to be one of those three teams that he ends up, but nothing's off the realm, and anything is possible. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Josh Berry, and we'll see where he ends up driving in 2024. So, that is going to be today's special NASCAR video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so you know if I win a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below over that, and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What team do you think Josh Berry will drive for in 2024? Do you think he's going to continue driving for Junior Motorsports in 2024? Or do you think he'll drive for another team like Stuart Haas Racing or Colic Racing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video discussing the NASCAR news over the last couple days. Then on Saturday, we'll have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race to be for Talladega. The weather has definitely been improving over the last couple days, so there should be likely a race review there. Then on Sunday, we'll have the NASCAR Cup Series race to be from Talladega. And then over the next couple weeks, we got a lot of other major projects on the way. We'll have the top 100 greatest NASCAR Cup Series drivers of all time, the 75th year edition, coming out on the channel during the off week, which is about 9 or 10 weeks away. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.